You've probably heard that high government debt is very bad for the economy. You may have also heard people ask if there's a tipping point where debt leads to crisis. Yet a better question, and the topic of this video is, what is the relationship between debt and economic growth? Debt among advanced countries is on the rise, but debt isn't necessarily a problem if a government has the economic output, also called gross domestic product, to cover it. That's why economists and policymakers typically consider debt percentages, specifically debt to GDP ratios, rather than debt levels alone. But what about that tipping point? A 2013 study by University of Massachusetts Amherst economists found that there is no single tipping point for when high debt ratios lead directly to an economic crisis. But the study also found that between 1946 and 2009, 20 advanced countries on average saw better economic growth when their debt was lower. However, it is important to note that correlation is not causation here. But why would high debt hurt the economy? Well, because it can first increase interest rates, second deteriorate savings and private investment, and third lower productivity. This in turn can result in unstable financial markets and currencies. High debt also puts pressure on government budgets, either forcing reductions in spending on government programs or leading to tax increases to create more revenue. Citizens feel the burden of high government debt one way or another. The point at which government debt becomes a serious problem is really country-specific. According to a 2011 study by the National Bank of Belgium, debt crises are often accompanied by and connected to a range of other domestic and global problems, such as weak institutions, low private savings, weak inflow of foreign capital, weak economic competitiveness, high unemployment, a fragile banking sector, and many other factors. The United States' chance of default over the next 5 years is really pretty low, about 3%, whereas Greece has almost a 45% chance of defaulting. Let's go ahead and look at Greece in more detail. In late 2009, Greece's ability to pay its debt looked uncertain. Its debt to GDP ratio reached almost 130%. The global financial crisis, coupled with Greece's own budget problems, left the Greek government few options. Private lending to Greece froze. To avoid default, Greece received about $316 billion in international bailouts from the European Union and the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. Things are bad for Greece, and they really haven't gotten much better since. Poor economic growth, combined with spending cuts, as well as tax increases, have led to negative growth rates and remarkably high unemployment rates. Greece's GDP per capita was about negative 7% in 2011, and in 2012 it was below negative 6%. In addition, unemployment rates rose from 7.7% in 2008 to over 24% by 2012. How different is the U.S.'s debt situation from Greece's? It's important to understand monetary policy to answer this. When Greece became part of the Eurozone, it largely gave up control over its money. This compounded its problems. The U.S. maintains control over its currency and can quote-unquote print money, making inflation far more likely than default. In addition, low interest rates, confidence in U.S. bonds, and demand for the dollar as a global reserve currency mean that the U.S. economy is a lot more durable than Greece's. Still, the United States should consider policies to reduce federal debt. According to the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, our current policies are, quote, unsustainable and, quote, boost the risk of a fiscal crisis. To learn more about government debt, watch our 3 other videos in this series. Citizen Tools is a nonpartisan, nonprofit resource that provides data-rich facts and analyses about economic, political, and social trade-offs facing the United States.